All right, names are popping in. I think that is a good time then also to start off officially with our webinar. So what I would like to do is first introduce you to our speakers. We are in very good company, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to these amazing fundraising experts. So first of all, we have Maggie. She is the Digital Marketing Manager at Leukaemia and Blood Cancer New Zealand, and working across all things digital for the organization, including peer-to-peer and appeal campaigns. Leukaemia and Blood Cancer New Zealand runs all the digital fundraising on Brayley and are always coming up with creative ideas to use the platform. And secondly, we have Jordan from the Global Development Group. He has been working there for 8 years and works with the DDG partners to set up and implement their fundraising appeals, as well as compliance with Australian fundraising requirements. I just went into their campaign this morning and counted the number of campaigns they have live. And they currently have 164 live campaigns. So you can imagine the task at hand for Jordan to set these up, maintain them, and make sure they all run smoothly. So Jordan certainly knows the ins and outs of Racely. Then finally, we have Em. She works at Hobart City Mission and has been doing so for the last 3 years, running peer-to-peer events, building relationships with community fundraising, and coordinating community fundraising. Em is always keen to find ways to make things simple and efficient for both the donors and the organization. Hobart City Mission uses Racely's donate form for their main website and, of course, a number of peer-to-peer campaigns. And Em is a huge fan of Racely and always available to share feedback and suggestions and shout to others about the platform, which we really, really value. So Maggie, Em, and Jordan played a pivotal role during the development of our new ticketing functionality. They were our beta testers and provided invaluable feedback and suggestions and picked up a number of bugs to ensure that you now have the ticketing available to you. And also the extent of what ticketing now looks like is basically also due to the input that we got from those 3 key amazing people. They will later show how they are and will be using ticketing for their own organization. So I'm sure you want to hear more about that. And finally, that's me at the bottom of the world. I'm Racely's Customer Success Manager based in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and closely work with a number of our customers to ensure that they can make most of our platform and bring their digital fundraising ideas to life. Throughout my career, I've worked with charities and not-for-profit organizations, both in the Netherlands and New Zealand, and supporting volunteering and fundraising for quite a number of years. So the plan for today, first of all, I start with sharing a little bit about Racely in itself and a little bit about the ticketing functionality. And then we quickly turn to Jordan and Maggie and hear basically about their experiences. If you do have questions for the panelists, please pop them into the Q&A so that we can address them at the end of this webinar. So without further ado, let me just kick off with talking a little bit about Racely. So Racely is an employee-owned for-purpose social enterprise. We started off in Australia, but are now spread across 8 countries in 20 cities. Our platform is highly customizable and enables fundraising appeals, peer-to-peer campaigns, giving days, community fundraising, and now, of course, also ticketed events. There are no contracts, no setup fees, no hosting fees, and you have the freedom to cancel at any time. So there's not a contract that we lock you in for. And we are free. And you're probably all aware of the little tick box that we ask for a contribution from your donors. And if they're willing to pay for that, that will then feed into our organization so we can provide more features for the customers to use. We partner with 1,500 charities across the whole world and have raised over $300 million through our platform, which is amazing. We offer a website builder, and so not just the donation form. And to make that easier, we have a number of templates. And you can see them popping up here. So campaign pages, events, appeal pages, etc. So this one is the latest that we have released as part of our ticketing. So those are the 6 that are currently available, but we also have one coming up, and that is our Giving Day template. Sorry for the blurry screenshot. That was all I could do yesterday, but it will look much, much better, of course, in real life. But that will be released very soon. Okay, let's dive into ticketing. We have a question for you to answer. We really would like you to see basically who have already started using ticketing. So please enter your answers. Do you see it now? Sorry. Okay, I don't see it coming in for me, but I'm sure you see what you should be seeing. So that means that 5% already had a chance to dive in, which is absolutely great. And yeah, we love you seeing embracing it. And for those who haven't, don't worry. We have lots of resources available for you to get started when there is an opportunity for your organization to start using it. So yeah, hopefully we'll see that number going up in the next few months as well. So 5% are using it, and now I lost everything. Sorry. 95% hasn't used it so far. Right. So let's give you some insights in what this ticketing functionality does and what it offers you. But first of all, why did we actually release this new feature? It was the most asked feature request by our customers. So we really listen to our customers, and we love hearing from the suggestions. But I heard over and over again from our customers that ticketing would really enhance the digital fundraising. Obviously, also with COVID still around, but things returning a little bit more to normal, more and more live events are being hosted again, and ticketing is really useful for that. And lastly, we also realized that the fundraising community was underserved by ticketing platforms. High fees, up to 7%, lack of brand control, no integration with peer-to-peer campaigns, to name a few. So we set out to change that. But because we really wanted to stay true to our mission of empowering charities to bring their fundraising ideas to life. And also, did you know that most ticketing solutions hold on to the funds up to 10 days after the event has taken place? So that leaves you a little bit of risk after your campaign. But with Brayley, same as with donations, the funds will go through regularly with each bank payout, and that normally takes 2 to 3 days. So you get your money way sooner if you are using Brayley's ticketing functionality. So you can set up tickets of any type. The tickets can represent bumps on seats, entry to events, but it can also have options like merchandise, and we will see those examples coming through in a second. So you can be really creative in how you're going to use ticketing. You can ask additional questions per ticket type and use conditional formatting to make sure that certain questions only showed up with certain tickets so that it's all relevant. So if you are selling merchandise and you're selling t-shirts, you can ask for what size you are looking for. So all those additional information really helps you with managing your campaign and your ticketing. The beauty of having ticketing integrated in your fundraising platform is you can ask for additional donations, which is always a bonus. So if you are selling tickets, you can add an option for adding an additional donation to it as well. Tickets can also be included in the sign-up form and use standalone, all within the same campaign. And you have an option to add promo codes that will apply to the ticket. So obviously not to the donation. So it's all kind of worked out really well. And finally, we provide the ability to manage these tickets after you've sold them and you're at the event. So you can manage check-in, etc. And those are just some of the basics. As you can see, we didn't go into the tool and showed you how to set up because James went on with a webinar last week and showed really in detail how to set up the tickets and all the various creative uses that he could come up with. So I really recommend you watch the recording. It is available on our YouTube channel. And in our final email that we send after the webinar, we will also make sure that that link is included. So not only the link to this recording, but also the one that was recorded last week. Yeah, so let's go further. We already have 30 live campaigns using ticketing. So we only released like 2 weeks ago, and we already have 30 campaigns live. So that's pretty amazing. And we have another 11 in test mode. So I'm sure they will be launching soon. And Georgie is also very keen to start sharing some of the results of the first ticketing campaign. So keep an eye out for our amazing newsletters and blog posts where we share some of those results with you. But now, let's just hear from our speakers and hear what they have done, how they've used their ticketing in their campaign, because that's why you came here for. So I want to start with you, Maggie. You have used ticketing for Spirit to Cure. So before we dive into that, can you tell us a little bit about Spirit to Cure? What is this campaign all about?
But we partnered with Suncorp to launch the inaugural Spirit to Cure fundraiser in New Zealand, raising money for both Leukaemia and Blood Cancer New Zealand and the Cancer Research Trust. So this, the employees of Suncorp NZ and selected business partners are given the opportunity to get fit, connect with colleagues, and most importantly, raise funds for vital cancer research. And the way they are going to do this is to step up at iconic stadiums, walking the portholes of Christchurch, and if they're unable to make one of these steps, these dates or locations, then they can sign up for Your Case, Your Way during September. And so that's a little bit about the campaign.
So it's a little bit of a hybrid campaign then. So you have physical locations, but you can also do it in your own time, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Great. So you are using ticketing for this campaign. How are you using it in this particular scenario?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, it's a bit of a hybrid. So we do have multiple stadiums, and we have done this in the past, but we've only used individual campaigns on Razorly. So creating a campaign that hosted 4 different event locations was the first hurdle, which we solved quite quickly with the help from Razorly team. But of course, we're here to talk about ticketing. And it was, there were lots of things that the ticketing feature could help us with. The initial discussions we had before the ticketing was available, it was just going to be a nightmare. And to be able to capture all of this data in one place, we're probably going to have to use several different platforms, as well as lots of Excel spreadsheets. So Helga, if you don't mind just going to, have you got the slides open? Yep, so this one. So as you can see from that list, we needed lots of different elements to capture. So we needed the ability for employees to register themselves and families. We needed to be able to charge for extra participants, so partners and children. We also had spectator passes that have no cost involved, but for health and safety reasons, we needed to know exactly how many people were coming on site. We're also providing entertainment for children, so we needed an indication of the children's age. We had merchandise, which is a really big thing we've never done merchandise in any of our campaigns, and the ticketing feature just made this so much easier for sale of t-shirts and hats. And then we also had the last minute addition of volunteers. So we needed volunteers at the event that might want to participate, might not want to participate. So we needed a way of capturing them as well.
Excellent.
So yeah, you could imagine that with all of those issues, the ticketing feature has just helped us solve so many problems, from admin time, just having a one-stop shop for registrations, donations, and merchandise.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So do I understand that all these options are presented in the sign up? So if people sign up and create a fundraising profile, they can add these other things to it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you also have it separately? So if you say, I don't want to do the fundraising, but I want to volunteer, for example, do you have that volunteer option, for example, sitting elsewhere?
We decided not to for this event because it really was the staff at the event are encouraged to sign up and fundraise. So we didn't, I could see the need to be able to do that, but we didn't do it for this event.
Not for this particular campaign. Great.
No.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
fundraising is key here.
yeah, well, without volunteers, you often don't have fundraising events, right? So
Yeah.
they definitely go hand in hand. Hey, so your first experience, what surprised you, and what did you find out for a solution that in the past you would have created a workaround? You already mentioned a few of
Mm.
those, but can you share a bit more?
Yeah, so when I first jumped on and had a look, it was just so user-friendly and intuitive. Being able to navigate through and adding tickets to our fundraising pages for this particular one, it was, yeah, super easy. We have our first 3 events in 2 weeks, and the on-site check-in ability, it's just, yeah, our events team is so excited to be able to use that and reduce the admin on site. It's just having it online, one location, hopefully, and I can give feedback on after it happens, but hopefully it's much more streamlined than in the past.
Yeah, good one. I want to ask you another question about that because I just quickly saw a question popping up whether Racy currently has a QR code check-in. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have that at the moment. So that is already on our feature request list for some future enhancement. But at the moment, there is no QR code that you can easily check in. So Maggie, how do you envisage organizing that? Have you already thought of that?
I've handed that one over to the events team, but I do know. So when you do look up and check in, it's super easy to search. And because we'll have multiple people, multiple tickets, you can just search on the ticket purchaser or the order number. So all they have to do is come up to the check-in desk, don't even need to scan anything or cite anything. We'll just ask for their name, type it in, and then we can find them in all their tickets.
Excellent. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Good to hear, Maggie. I'll come back to you later as well, but I first want to hear about our next campaign from Jordan. Jordan, can you tell us a little bit about the Rice Run? It's an event that you run multiple times over the last few years, but this is the first time you use ticketing for it. So yeah, what's this campaign all about?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Helga. So we actually used to run these rice runs on the previous version of Brayley on 2.5, I think it was. And it worked relatively well, but it required quite a bit of back-end work from the Raisely team. I think back in the day, I can't quite remember how many years ago it was, maybe 3 or 4. And they very kindly helped us build some stuff in that we needed. And essentially what we needed is for each donor to be able to purchase 1 bag of rice for a beneficiary in Cambodia. But what we need is there to be a limited number of rice bags available. Normally we might do about 200 or 300. And once those are sold out, as you can see on the page that Helga has up now, this one sold out in a few hours, I think. But we need that to be an end date because it's marketed as the fastest donation in the world. So normally the delivery for these rice bags is in the next 2, 3 or 4 days. So we need there to be an end date when we can't receive any more donations. I mean, that end date almost never happens because it almost always sells out, which is awesome. But it's just a feature that we needed to be built in, which was hard-coded into version 2.5 campaign that we had. But thankfully in the ticketing, it was just a set feature for us. So yeah.
It's an interesting concept.
It's
always around.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a great fundraise by we have a partner in Australia that helps us out with this one as well. And it was the first for us actually, so it was kind of new ground for us. And then I guess when we brought it to Raisely, it was kind of new ground as well back when we first set it up. Yeah, it's extremely popular. And they do goal back when they could travel overseas. It was probably about 10 a year, which is really great. And also I was going to mention the new ticketing feature is just awesome because it's so quick to actually set it up. I think we set this one up in 10 minutes or so, which is awesome for future ones because we can just duplicate and keep going with it and rolling on without needing too much customization.
Yeah, Yeah, interesting. So yeah, so ticketing enabled you to set a limited number of rice bags. So
Yep.
obviously, ticket items you can say you can say you have unlimited tickets or a fixed number. So that's enabled. A date, a start and an end date to make it available, so you could do that.
Yep.
Yeah, so that sounds like really, really good features. Was there anything else that also enabled ticketing enabled you to do?
Well, and something we'd wanted to do the whole time was enable supporters to buy more than one bag, but just with limitations we had on the previous system, we couldn't do that. So thankfully, with ticketing, we can now allow them to have, we limited at 5. Obviously, you can go more than that. That was another awesome feature that we could, I guess, add to the restaurants going forward, is enabling donors to buy more than just one bag.
Great. Yeah. So you kind of adjusted the campaigns based on the functionality that you all of a sudden had available, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was such great news when we heard ticketing was coming in from the Raisley team.
Yeah. I do see a comment in the chat saying, do you have a live campaign with live tickets available that we want to see? And we were just talking about it in advance, whether we could set up a dummy campaign. We may be able to do that, maybe in our test campaign, and show you how it looks like. Jordan and I will work together afterwards and make sure you have a link to look at afterwards.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was just going to say there's none live at the moment, just because they sell out so fast that if we made it live, it would probably be gone in the next day or so.
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly. So
obviously not a problem.
We'll just do a dummy one, and then so people can have a look at how it works. So Jordan, obviously you could now increase the number of rice bags that each donor could purchase. What else did surprise you?
Well, I mentioned it earlier, just the ease of actually setting it up. Previously, we had to go into the HTML and make changes in there, which was just not ideal because we're not really experts at that sort of stuff. So it was just causing troubles for us and taking quite a bit of time to set up each campaign as well, just because it was quite a manual process. But the great thing about this, the ticketing, is just how easy it was to set up. Like, we went in and, like I just mentioned before, set up in 10 minutes or so, and it just frees us up to do, more stuff on Raisley with other partners, I guess, rather than setting up a campaign that can take quite a bit of time. And the other thing that was great was being able to download, just like one click to download the report as well from the ticketing page. Their reporting feature on Raisley is great as well, but sometimes we just wanted a one click to get everything we needed from the campaign. And that's something else that was really great that we discovered on the ticketing as well.
Oh, good to hear. Yeah, because that's quite important for your campaign as well, right? To having the details available for the delivery of the bags, I understand.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because each beneficiary's suburb and their message to the beneficiary. So each donor's suburb and message is on the bag that is delivered to the beneficiaries. So that was important to us to be able to get a report really fast and send it over to the team in Cambodia to actually be able to implement it.
Great. Good to hear. That's such a good case study, and so good to hear that it takes just nothing to set up a campaign and you have a really effective one up and running and sold out in no time. That's awesome. Hey, Jordan, you also have another campaign currently using ticketing. Well, with 164, you always have lots of campaigns live, but this one is also using ticketing. Quite a different structure. Can you tell me a little bit about this one?
Yeah, so I guess this one's more like a standard sort of one, and quite simple, as you can see, just one option to buy a ticket to a trivia night. So it's a really straightforward campaign. But the great thing about it is we could put this ticketing page underneath just a standard fundraising page. So this lady is trekking a mountain, quite sure where it is. It might be Tanzania, or actually I think it might be maybe Nepal. She's doing a trek there, but in order to build up a bit of kind of excitement before she goes over to do it, she's running this trivia night as well to kind of gather the supporters together. So it's awesome for us because we could have that fundraising campaign and the ticketing both on the same campaign, just linked through the menu up there. Previously, we would have had to probably use some external ticketing website, and then they would have had to link through a button or something like that. It's just not ideal because obviously people go to different sites and it's not all integrated under the one campaign, which is absolutely fantastic about this one.
Yeah, yeah, great to hear. Again, I will come back to you with more questions later, but before we do that, I want to jump on to M. But also, I see a lot of quite specific questions about ticketing and functionality. We may not be able to answer all of them in this particular format, but we will make sure that in our follow-up, all these questions are being answered. So most of them, the questions to our panelists, we will feed on, of course, later in our Q&A. But I'm just saying that I'm not sure if we can answer all the other specific questions about the functionality in this call. But keep them coming, because we promise to come back to you one way or another. All right. Lastly, I would like to ask Em about the campaign from Hobart City Mission, Sleep Rough. I know you've hosted that multiple times on the Raisely platform. Can you tell me a little bit of background?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Helga. So this year was actually our first Sleep Rough. We've been building the event for a couple of years now. And Raisely was the perfect option for it. It was the first peer-to-peer event that we've run of this size, and it's a family-friendly community sleep out event. So basically, we wanted people to sign up to fundraise, but also sign up to sleep out altogether on the night. And it was important to us that we were able to offer tiered ticketing prices, so to make it more affordable for families to come along. So we actually ran the event this year without having the ticketing feature, and came up with a few workarounds, but as Jordan was saying, that was quite time consuming. And it was really nice. The other day I was putting together the 2023 event, and I think it took me 10 minutes to get all the ticketing set up for the new event for next year. So that was just a real win. But yeah, basically our campaign was to raise money and awareness for homelessness in southern Tasmania. And we did that by asking people to fundraise and spread the word in the community. And, that's how we spread our awareness, and we were lucky enough to have 200 people come along and actually sleep out on the night. So it was really important, because everyone was sleeping together in the one shed, that we knew exactly who was going to be there on the night, their names, their contact details, that sort of thing, just from a health and safety point of view as well. So the ticketing was a really important part of what we were doing.
Yeah, great. So we also have a screenshot of your ticket options. So I'll bring that up now. So maybe you can speak a bit more to that.
Yeah, sure. So for this year's event, we had a flat fee of $20 across the board, because it was just too tricky to sort of work out how to do, especially with a first year event with all the other little things that were popping up. We thought, let's just keep it easy. We're going to do a flat fee across children over 5 and for adults. So this year it's great to have the ticketing feature, because I've been able to break that down and have a higher fee for adults. Then I've got children 5 to 17, and then free registrations for children under 5. And that just allows us to be able to track exactly who's going to be there on the night, because anyone that's under 18 can't have their own fundraising page with our campaign. So whenever I was pulling a registration list for this year's event, it was showing me obviously the person who created the fundraising page, but it wasn't showing me their family that were coming along with them. So this helps, because we can pull a live report at any time that says exactly who will be there, without me having to keep a spreadsheet up to date every day. So that's really nice. And I'm also using it for merchandise as well, like Maggie. So this year we didn't really have the ability to be able to capture people's requests prior to the event. So we just sold items at the event, but, we weren't able to gauge who was keen on things. So, it's nice to be able to monitor stock levels. So that'll be really great for this year, to see who's interested in purchasing a beanie and socks and a hoodie and picking them up on the night, and getting their sizes accurately. And
Yeah, sounds good. So in this particular case with your merchandise, it's kind of, you're not sending it out in advance. It's pick up on the day.
pick up on the day for this one. Yeah. Which will be, but I think just the most important thing with the ticketing for us was honestly just how much stress it took out of that whole registration side of things. It was so easy to put together. And also the promo codes as well. Last year, or this year, sorry, all of our partners were offered free registration, and they actually had to have their own registration site that allowed them to register their colleagues for free. Whereas this year I can actually create a promo code with their name, say Clenet's our major partner, and they just send that around, and then they can register through the usual site. That was a bit tricky last year. We had a few people registering through the main site, not their special site, and caused a couple of issues. So it's really nice to have that option, and just knowing that it's so easy to set up those promo codes, and they've actually got an expiry as well, so you can set up the dates that you want them to be available for, which is really handy as well.
Yeah, that's great. And you can also, just so the others know, set in how many times the promo code can be used as well. So, in case it's being passed on beyond the sponsor, then you can manage that in that way as well. So that's also another great feature. Right, so that's good. So again, we hear that it's really quick to use, easy for admin, good information at your fingertips. It sounds like it's going to be a game changer for you all. Any other thing that surprised you, Em?
Really just that all of my prayers had been answered. Everything that I'd sort of been thinking, oh, that would be really nice. All those things have been addressed, and they're all there, easy to use and for free. So that was just really, really great. I was just thinking if there was anything else I'd jotted down. I think, it was really just the ease of everything, and particularly for me, the promo codes are especially handy. So I was just really happy to see those.
Nice. Very good. Right. Hey, I'll stop sharing the screen now because we've been through the various screenshots of your campaigns, but we continue talking, so we're not finished quite yet. Right. Just give me one little tick. So I can continue, refer to this. Now we have seen how you are all using ticketing for your either live campaigns, past campaigns like the Rise Run, and also your planned campaigns. When working through it, did any other ideas pop up into your mind, or even maybe during the beta testing you think, oh, I haven't thought of that. It would be great to use ticketing also for scenario X. Jordan, have you already thought of something else that you can use or will use ticketing for?
Yeah, we're planning to use it around Christmas time. We normally get a lot of partners who want to do similar to a Christmas catalog sort of thing. But not where you actually get physical merch yourself, but where you can maybe buy a goat, or you buy something for a beneficiary overseas. Very similar to the traditional gift catalog the physical one you used to get. But more so online now. So that's something we've had a few partners using previously, and again on the older version of Brayley, and it worked on there fine, but it'll be so much better when we can do it through ticketing as well. Setting start dates and end dates, and even limiting how many of each item that people can purchase or donate for. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah. What about you, Em? Have you already thought of other things, other uses?
I hadn't, but I've just had an idea thanks to Jordan. So for the Christmas appeal that we do, that starts for our Christmas assistance program, where we give out gifts and food to families around Christmas. We're always on the lookout for vouchers. We partner with a charity who provide us with gifts, physical gifts for children up to 16, but vouchers are always really needed. So I was wondering if there's a way I could perhaps have a campaign running just for people to be able to log in and purchase, you know, a $50, $100 equivalent voucher or something like that. I don't know, but that could be an idea. Who knows?
Yeah, great
thinking.
idea. Yeah. And you, Maggie, have you already some creative ideas? I know you're always using Razorly quite creatively. So
yes, well, we actually have our blood cancer patient forum going live in September. Usually it's held in venues, but due to COVID, yeah, we will be doing them online and hosting some in our offices around the country. So we're having to do two different things. So as soon as our support services team said to me, hey, we want to sell tickets for this, I was like, great, we can do it all on Razorly, because well, at the time I couldn't think of any other platform that could do the hybrid situation. So we went live on Friday and we've already sold 200 tickets.
oh wow, so that's really good. Great.
Yeah, and that's a free event, so there's no cost involved for them.
Yeah. I did hear that question. You know, how does it work? Because obviously you know that our funding model works with additional donation. If the ticket purchase is zero, and you add a tick box of 0 to 0, then there's nothing coming through. But there are ways to enable some funds generation as well. So you can have an additional donation button still on your campaign, even though your focus is maybe selling on tickets. You can add an additional donation option to your selling your tickets as well. So there's definitely ways that will benefit your organization and also enable us that using that tick box. So yeah, we realize that there are scenarios where $0 tickets will be sold. Of course, that's just the reality of it all. Hey, Maggie, having seen ticketing, having used ticketing, what's the number one tip that you can give other customers when starting using with tickets?
Oh, yeah. Well, this Suncorp Spirit to Cure, I definitely, in hindsight, would have mapped it out at the beginning rather than just going through and setting it up as we go. But because ticketing was new to me, it was just trial and error. But now that I know how it all works, I definitely map it all out in a way that you can see how it flows. And of course, with pulling through the reports, yeah, we changed a little bit of how we asked the questions for when they selected the ticket, and then the fields weren't quite pulling through in the report. So we changed it there. And yes, so definitely mapping it out, but also talking to the team at Razorly. If you've got an idea and it's not quite working, just flick them an email and they are quite quick and happy to help build it and fix it and whatever you need.
Thank you for the little plug for the support team. They do love hearing from our customers and helping them with quirky or not so quirky questions as well. So yeah, absolutely can concur that. And what is your number one tip?
It's a pretty small one and very niche, but when you're creating your ticket descriptions, I wanted to put in sort of dot points to be able to list the things that were included in that registration type, but the text actually condenses and you can't use HTML to break the lines, so it all sort of runs together. So just keep that in mind when you're putting in your ticket descriptions, and maybe that's something I can ask for in future. That would be great. And basically just play around with it as much as possible. It's probably limitless with the possibilities of what ticketing could be used for. So just get creative, I suppose, and just play around.
Yeah, good idea. On that note, also, I had another customer asking about, you know, what extent you can include into the form. And obviously, the order form is quite condensed, and you can pull in an image, and you can pull in a description, as you could see in the screenshots that we just shared earlier. But if you have a bit more information to share about each of the ticket items, then perhaps you can also set up another page and have your items listed with more information there as well. So obviously when you go to shop, you go to the product page and you have all the ins and outs, but then you go ordering and you just, you have your condensed order form. So that's just another way of maybe working around those situations. Jordan, last but not least, your number one tip.
Yeah, mine might be kind of straightforward, but just to create like another campaign and just like go crazy with trying stuff in it with the ticketing. That's all we did, and we just like played around with literally everything in it and adding stuff and deleting stuff and seeing how it looked on a live site, and just kind of went wild with it to see what was actually possible and how it actually looked. And yeah, it just meant we kind of discovered little things in it that we preferred over other ways of laying stuff out, just like with text, like you said, in the ticketing form and stuff like that. Yeah, we just probably spent a few hours actually just like messing around with it, almost just seeing what was possible.
Yeah. So even though you set up the campaign in 10 minutes, you actually played for it with 2 hours beforehand.
Yeah. That was leisure time before we actually did the work on it.
Yeah, but that's good because hey, it's a new thing, so you need to kind of know the ins and outs, and that's always good to have a little bit of a deep dive into the functionality. Yeah, great to hear. Hey, I actually think I have a few sites that I pulled up from other organizations, and I just quickly want to go through them. It will take me 1 minute, and then we have some time left for Q&A as well at the end. But I thought it would be really good to show what other people are doing, because it's always so inspirational to see that. So if you don't mind, I am going to share my screen. Hopefully it will all work. Give me one tick. My colleagues always love that I'm a little bit, why is it not coming through? Do you see my screen?
Yes, maybe just refresh the URL, Holger.
Oh, I don't really, because then you don't see the form anymore.
We can see the tickets.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I actually went through the sign-up form for this campaign because otherwise I had to fill in all the details and you can't see it. So this campaign is launched today. It's in remembrance of Olivia Newton-John, the Walk for Wellness campaign. It's for Austin Foundation, and they have a venue, Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness Center. Anyway, that's the campaign. And they have a number of tickets when you can register for the peer-to-peer live walk for wellness. Just the standard fees, senior concession child. But we also have a dog fee, which I thought was quite cute. The dog has to pay $20. It's not free, but they do get a doggy bandana. So that's a quite cool one. Hopefully this campaign will go really well for the Olivia Newton-John Center, especially in light of the news of her recent passing, of course. Then we have a relatively simple, but you can imagine lots of people get-togethers where you want to sell tickets for events. This is a dinner, so you have a dinner ticket, but you can also stay overnight. So they have 2 different tickets. And they just used our new ticketing templates. It's really simple but effective. And you have the donation option here at the bottom as well. So I really love the way it's designed, clean and crisp, and just does what it needs. I saw a question coming through around, can you do seat allocation? That is not an automated thing, but we recommend you can, for example, include it in the sign-up form or in the ticket form as a hidden field. And then in the admin panel, you can assign the seat numbers to the ticket. So there are ways how you can manage it. And James talks about that in way more detail. Then we have the auction for freedom. That's the organized by Destiny Rescue. They actually run a silent auction at the event. So this is just for attending the event. You can also add a cheese platter or a dessert platter to your tickets. So I really love that idea that you can just buy a seat and some food as well in advance. And then they run a silent auction, and they upload the results of the silent auction as an offline donation to the campaign, so they can still see the campaign total. We do sometimes get questions about, do we have silent auctioning functionality? We don't as a platform, but there are ways around it, of course, if you were to able to upload it as an offline donation. So I thought that was quite good. I will share those URLs to these campaigns as well later on in our follow-up. Then this campaign is one from the California Center in the States. They have a dance-a-thon, and you can be a dancer, you can be a family crew. That means you're not doing the fundraiser, but you are attending the event, and you can also virtually dance to this event as well. So this one has launched last week, so also pretty new and using ticketing already. Two more. We have the polar plunging event. So you can fundraise for this particular situation. So that is the sign up, but they also have a separate buying tickets option. And the sale pitch is, if plunging is not your thing, but you still want to be part of the fun, then you can come along and buy a ticket to the event. So I thought that was a really good kind of suggestion as well. You have your standard peer-to-peer fundraising, and that's your main push, but you don't want to lose out on people who really don't want to go there but still want to be part of the campaign. And then you can either have two different ticket types, just as a spectator watching and then doing a little bit of the fun as well. So I thought that was quite an interesting take. And last but not least, this is a walk, and there's two different distances, and you have a bus option to go from the semi-finish line to the final finish line, where the second group of people are arriving, and you can book that bus as part and the dinner as part of your sign up. So those are just really clever ways of using ticketing for managing your event. So you know exactly how many buses you need to pull in, how many dinners you need to prepare. So it's that combination of not only attendees at the event, but also all the logistics that you need to organize for your events that you can capture now with ticketing. So yeah, I thought there were quite interesting different takes on ticketing, and hopefully they spark a little bit of an idea. But we have a few more minutes left to see if we can answer some of the questions, and I hope to be able to pull in our panelists. I did already answer a few of them. With the QR code, we obviously have a QR code block into as part of our page builder that links to the campaign itself or a fundraising page. But we don't have a QR for each individual ticket that enables the checking at this point. Pompidom. I answered a few already. So far, we have not seen anybody who is using it for raffle tickets. Raffle is quite, each country has different legislation around raffles. So it might be good to figure out how that's going to work in your region, and then just reach out to support if you want to discuss how you can make that enable that in Raisley, so to speak. It's really hard to go through the questions and see which one I can fire through to the panelists. Let me see. Question for Jordan. Yes, I've got a question specifically for one of our panelists. Do you manage the ticketing back end, or do your partner fundraisers manage that?
It depends on the fundraiser. So for the rice run one, we do that ourselves and just send them the report, and then they handle it from there. But for that other one that I showed for the trivia night, the fundraising partner has access to that campaign, and they edited it. They made all the changes to how it looks. I think we just set up a ticketing feature for them, dropped the form on their page that they'd made, and then they went from there with it. So it just depends what the partner's after, if they want more control over it, or if they're happy for us to put it together for them.
Yeah. Someone says, is it possible to adapt the language when it comes down to the functionality being used for something other than event, so that we don't have to say tickets when it's actually not a ticket. For example, in the sale of a rice bag. Sometimes we are able to make some changes to what is being displayed with some custom CSS. So I can't really tell in detail what can or cannot be done. But if you have a scenario, I again suggest that, like Maggie says, reach out to support. And we also have 2 people on our support team that are our support engineers, and they are able to help you with those specific custom CSS questions as well. It's also a really good suggestion to see if there's a possibility to identify what we can, make it easier for you to change that language.
Can I just as well? Sorry.
Yeah.
You can edit that just when you're in the back end of the sign up form, and when you've enabled the ticketing feature, you can change all of those headings and that ticketing wording to whatever you like, because I changed some of it for SafeRough. So.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Right. Another question. Integrations, so obviously if you have built your own integration and you're now wanting to make use of this ticketing functionality also going into your CRM, if you've set up your own, then you need to make sure that it is up to date. Also, if you use Zapier, for example, make sure that all the information you want is flowing through. Otherwise, you may need to adjust that. If you're using an integration that is, for example, Razor's Edge, then we will make sure that, because that's one that we have provided, that information flows through. And the one with our partner, Move Data, they are currently also working to make sure that ticketing information is going into Salesforce. So yeah, it depends a little bit on what solution you are using, but that information should be able to flow through your CRM. There is a question whether you can add the donation. Sorry, can you add a donation in the same ticketing panel or only in a separate campaign on the website? You can add a donation to your ticketing form. So you can have that combined in the one. So it's quite flexible in that regards. And I think there's another question here. If it's a free event, Razor will still ask for a donation. If there's no payment requirement, then the payment step will not take place. So then the question is not enabled, so to speak. If there is a payment requirement, then the tick box will pop up. So yeah, I think we have answered most of the questions. It's also almost time to wrap up. So we will make sure that we go through fine-tune with all the questions as well in the comments in the chat to make sure that we haven't missed anything. Make sure that we follow up on that in the follow-up information. We will send the link. We will send the link to James' webinar as well, although Georgie already shared it in the chat, but in case you missed it there. I would just suggest have a play, follow Jordan's lead, set up a test campaign, go for gold and test the way and find out all the different functionality. And hopefully we will see your campaign soon as well. Any departing messages or comments from Jordan, Maggie or Em, are we just saying and waving goodbye to all our participants?
Thank you.
Just good luck, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing all your insights, Jordan, Maggie, and Em, and also for your time during the whole development of this new feature. You've been absolutely instrumental in getting it to the place that we are. So we are really happy with all your contribution and continue to champion Razorly. So yeah, without further ado, thank you again for coming and enjoy the rest of your day.